Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 302 of the podcast. Unless you're joining live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, if you want to catch the show live, make sure you subscribe on one or all of those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know when the show is going live, like right now. Today is Sunday, February 12th, Super Bowl Sunday. There's going to be a lot of broken hearts before Tuesday the 14th, Valentine's Day. If you're a Chiefs or I don't know, whoever the Chiefs are playing. Obviously, I don't give a shit about the game because I'm doing an MMA podcast a half hour before kickoff. So I guess, don't ask me if I watched the Super Bowl. But I know someone who is going to watch it. So I guess we got to get a move on here. Let me introduce all the way from the frigid Garden State, the world traveler, Jeff, the Animal Wilson. Jeff, how you feeling on this Super Bowl pre-Valentine's Sunday, my friend?
Bill, I don't watch the Super for the teams because Tom Brady is not in it anymore. So it's not even a Super Bowl at this point. Bill, I'm watching for the commercials. I mean, there's this chip commercial that has the guys from Breaking Bad. I can't remember the names for some reason. It's got Walter White's character, Jesse Pinkman, and then that dude Tuco. I saw a preview of it on Instagram. It looks really clever. It's pretty well done. So Bill, I'm in it for the ads, dude, and maybe the Super Bowl halftime show.
Who is it?
I don't fucking know. Come on.
Last year was pretty good. Last year they had Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. I liked that one. Was that last year?
I don't know, dude. They're all starting to turn into one. I thought last year was Maroon 5 with Bruno Mars.
Was it?
I don't know, dude. But Bill, dude, we've been having some weird weather in Jersey. Yesterday was kind of warm out, so I washed the car.
Okay.
And did some laundry.
Didn't freeze?
No, but I didn't dry it, so now there's streaks all over it. I gotta go wash it again.
You're cracking a little bit, Jeff. You're going pitchy with the volume.
Oh, well, I
know you're excited for this foosball game.
The foosball.
Foosball is for the devil.
Dude, I was watching that movie the other day with Waterboy, and I always think of you when I watch it, Bill, because I think we're both fans of like Adam Sandler movies.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going with that. I think of you when I see the Waterboy.
But Bill, I also think of myself because I don't have a job, so I'm thinking of applying as an H2O distribution engineer for some college team.
I do like high quality H2O, especially when it's mixed with yeast and hops. I'm drinking a beer, Jeff, which is rare for me these days, even though I love beer so much, but my body does not anymore. I just don't respond to beer the way I used to. But this is a hippie oasis. It comes from a local brewery here in Gulfport, Florida, which is a cool little town on the water here in Pinellas County, Florida. Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend, Jeff. My parents were here. I actually just dropped them off at the airport.
What? Bill, why are you just telling me this now?
I don't know.
I would have told you to say hi to them for me.
They were asking about you, actually.
Bill, I love your parents.
My mom was like, "How is Jeff doing?" And I said, "I don't care. He doesn't do the podcast anymore."
Bill, that was one time.
And she was like, "Oh, well, fuck that guy then."
Dude, I love your mom, man. Oh, man. She probably, I don't doubt that she said it either.
No, she definitely didn't. So my parents came down. My dad had gotten me tickets for a concert I guess it was for my birthday. He gave it to me back in October, and then they flew down. My dad was in charge of booking the flights this time because he was coming down to see the concert with me, and he went and booked himself a flight during the Super Bowl. And he realized he was going to be in the air while the game's going on. My dad actually does watch football, so he was pissed at himself when he realized they're probably going to be boarding a plane in a little while. I guess they're going to have to watch it on the plane or part of it, but maybe they'll be driving home from the airport while the halftime show is on. I don't know. In any case, we went to see Kenny Wayne Shepherd in Clearwater on Friday. I don't know if you're familiar, Jeff.
Dude, I love that guy.
He's an incredible blues guitarist. I've seen him maybe 5 or 6 times, but I've always seen him like opening for other people. So this was actually like his headlining tour. It was the 25-year anniversary of his second album. So he played the whole album in its entirety, cover to cover.
Jeez.
And then he did like a 10-song encore.
Dude, that must have been like a 3-hour show.
It was close to it because the opening act did like an hour. It was this girl, Samantha Fish, who I was not familiar with her. The first time I ever heard her music was like before we went to the show. I was like, let's watch some YouTube videos. And man, this girl can shred, Jeff. She's up there, just ripping it. Kenny Wayne brought her out at the end of the show, and they did like a little dueling guitars. At one point, he was playing a solo, and he dropped to his knees, and he broke the neck off the guitar. They had to bring him a new one in the middle of the song. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. He's got a great band, too. His drummer is one of my favorite drummers of all time. His name's Chris Whipper Layton, and he was the drummer for Stevie Ray Vaughan when Stevie Ray was alive. So he was the drummer for Double Trouble. And the guy's just so good. It's just effortless. He's sitting behind the drum kit, like his upper body's not even moving. The dude's just like all wrists. Just so smooth. It was a great show. It was a good time. Got to spend some quality time with the folks. They got to spend some quality time with the kiddo, which is always nice. They took her like all day yesterday, just took her around town here and playgrounds and, that sort of stuff. So it was cool. Yeah, big weekend of fights, Jeff, but I want to lead off with the most important piece of news before you and I get into a debate about this main event.
Hit him because he deserves it, Bill.
Little evil Jens Pulver going into the UFC Hall of Fame. I was so excited to see this announcement. This might have been the most excited I've been for one of these announcements, Jeff, because you know this, but Jens Pulver is one of the reasons I started getting into MMA in the first place, because here was this little guy who's maybe, what is he, 5'4", 5'5", little guy and a wrestler, just knocking people out cold. And I was like, man, this guy was a wrestler and he was a little guy just like me. And he's just knocking people out, fighting at 155 pounds when he was probably, nowhere near that weight. It was just the lowest weight class they had at the time. He was the first lightweight champion in the history of the UFC. Just had some historic wins, like things like his knockout of John Lewis early in his career, which John Lewis looked a lot bigger than Jens in that fight, but he just starched him like stiff as a board. Still one of the highlights they use most often to this day. And he was just good everywhere, man. He had a win over BJ Penn when BJ Penn was like on fire.
Yeah.
Early in his career. And just, fought everybody in and around that weight class. Even after leaving the UFC, he went on to have a great career in the WEC, which kind of counts towards his UFC record since they wound up acquiring them later on. But his first fight with Uriah Faber was at the time the biggest fight the WEC had ever done. And then Unfortunately, he got to move down to 145 pounds, which was closer to his natural weight class. He probably could have fought at 135 pounds if that weight class had existed in his prime. But, he was kind of out of his prime by the time he was able to fight at that weight class. So he went on a little bit long. It was kind of tough to see him, keep going at the end of his career. But, still an absolute legend. So it's awesome to see the UFC acknowledge him. They have him on SureDog listed as 5'7", and I
Bill, that's my height. There's no way this guy was
Yeah.
5'7". Standing on a phone book, this guy wasn't 5'7", dude.
I don't think that's accurate at all. They're like they let him pick his own height for this profiling thing. Like, how tall do you feel, Jens? They're like, well, I felt about 5'7" when I knocked out John Lewis. All right, we'll go with that.
Yeah, dude, super happy for Jens Pulver. He's one of those guys that really brought up those smaller weight classes.
Mm-hmm.
When the UFC bought the WEC, man. So a lot of respect for Jens Pulver, Bill. I'll be honest with you. I never watched him fight live because I became a fan when I was a little bit older of the
Mm-hmm.
UFC, but I've gone back and watched some of his fights, man, and especially the wars he went to with BJ Penn, dude. Like you said, when BJ Penn was the man, and Jens Pulver, able to get a W over him, and of course he lost the rematch. But dude, at that point, I think he'd already had everybody's respect in his pocket, man. So really well deserved for Jens Pulver. Honestly, Bill, I thought they were going to go with someone like who retired a little bit more recently, like maybe Michael Bisping or somebody, somebody they like in that generation of
Mm-hmm.
fighters. But I'm so glad that they're giving Jens Pulver, the credit and the respect he deserves, man. Huge congratulations to him.
Yeah, and I really think his record doesn't reflect how good he was, because he did end his career at 135, I believe. But if you look at the people he fought, like, he has a win over Dennis Hallman. That guy was a welterweight. And Dennis Hallman had a win or two over Matt Hughes, I believe. So he was a big dude. Robert Emerson, he fought. That was another big guy. Let's see. Joe Stevenson, he fought, who was a bigger guy. Just because he didn't have a choice throughout a lot of his career, like those smaller weight classes weren't there. And then he was a big reason that, like you said, the UFC brought them in, because those fights are doing so well in the WEC. Guys like Uriah Faber and Cub Swanson and Dominic Cruz bringing attention to those smaller weight classes. The UFC was like, oh, maybe you have something here. And the rest is history. We've gotten to see so many amazing UFC fighters come and go over the years because of guys like Jens Pulver paving the way. So it's awesome to see him get inducted into that pioneer wing of the UFC Hall of Fame. And we said, let's see, Rick Allen here says, yeah, but the difference is Pulver was capable of knocking people out and you aren't. Pillow hands Bill. All right, fair enough. I mean, I can say I've never knocked anybody unconscious like that before. So you got me there, Rick.
Yeah, Bill, to your credit though, this one time you got me with a nasty body shot that made me rethink a couple of things, Bill. Oh man.
Reevaluate life.
Yeah, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to grappling. Screw this.
All right, Jeff, let's get into an argument here, because you and I were going back and forth
Bill,
while I was
Bill,
falling asleep last night.
Bill, have you opened your eyes yet?
So, okay. UFC 284, Perth, Western Australia. Oh, dude, we got our buddies from the MMA holes checking in. I don't know if you saw this, Jeff. They had Mike Goldberg on their live stream watching the pay-per-view with them last night, which was fucking awesome.
Dude.
These guys started podcasting like probably around the same time as us, and they've just blown up with their YouTube channel. But that's super awesome. They had a live show with Mike Goldberg. Like, does it get better than that for the people who were watching from my era? That kind of nostalgia. That was
Oh
it.
yeah, for
That
sure,
must have been
dude.
so cool.
That's awesome, man.
So if you guys missed that, go check out at the very least the highlights on their Instagram, the MMA holes. Very entertaining program indeed. So Jeff, let's get into this here because we were going back and forth and we were kind of saying the same thing. So I scored the fight for Makhachev, but I believe that Volkanovski did more damage in the fight. Like there were not a lot of times where Makhachev was dominant. Like even when he had the back with a body triangle, he's getting bludgeoned. I've never seen somebody get their ass beat while they have a body triangle on somebody. Volk was beating the shit out of him with those little T-Rex arms. He's able to just and he's talking shit to him the whole time. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a really competitive fight. If you go by the scoring system that we have in place, Makhachev is the winner. But for me, it did come down to how you score that second round. I thought 1, 2, and 4 went to Islam, and 3 and 5 went to Volk. 5 was the most dominant round of the entire fight for anybody. And Volkanovski finishes on top. Makhachev's face was fucking battered at the press conference. Volk had the more significant strikes. I believe he was the only one credited with a knockdown in the fight as well, as far as the official stats go. I don't know. Give me your thoughts, Jeff. I'm just kind of recapping here, but
Bill, here's the thing, man. Islam outpointed Volk. Okay, he outpointed Volkanovski. I felt like he won, like you said, rounds 1, 2, and 4, especially 4 because he had the back control the whole time. Yes, Volkanovski was punching him and beating the snot out of him. And I'll be honest with you, at no point did Makhachev look like he would finish Volkanovski when he was on his back in that 4th round. Volk did such a good job of fighting the hands, always looping his arm through so that there was very few moments where one of Makhachev's arms was around the neck, and if it was very brief in that 4th round. But unfortunately, it's not. This doesn't come down to the way that these fights are scored. Bill, is not about how a fighter looks. If he's got more cuts on his face and stuff. It's about controlling the cage. And I felt like Makhachev was able to do that in rounds 1, 2, and 4. In rounds 1 and 2, able to put Volkanovski on his back. Was he able to keep him there? No, but he was able to get him there a few times. And I agree with you that rounds 3 and 5 definitely went for Volkanovski. But here's the thing. In round 5, did Volkanovski finish on top? Yes. Was he grounding and pounding him? Not really, because the takedown came when there was 1 minute left in the round. Volkanovski needed to empty the tank. And the thing was that Makhachev was able to break his posture and kind of keep him from really reaching up and extending to, smash him. And he was pulling him into his guard and stuff. I think it was a good strategy for Makhachev to minimize damage. And listen, Bill, what disappoints me the most of this fight is that Volkanovski could have won. Dude, I don't know where the leg kicks were. Mark Fellow says it was 50-40 to Volkanovski. That's not even a possible score. As it is 8.
If every round was a 10-8 or
yeah. Oh man, dude, Mark's hilarious. And Mark, I love Volkanovski, man. I wanted him to win, but Bill, I was disappointed. I didn't see the leg kicks, dude. Like. I felt like if Volkanovski had invested into those leg kicks early on in the fight, Makhachev would have had such a hard time taking him down, or he would have had a harder time standing up with him. Because in the stand-up, I didn't see Volkanovski with too many problems. It was when they went to the ground, and when when they were in the clinches. Volkanovski is so physically strong, dude. I felt like he could have made better use of the
Mm-hmm.
clinches. And his own corner told Volkanovski at the end of the at the end of the third round, he said, their corner told Volkanovski, we're 2 rounds down. We need to win
Mm-hmm.
these three.
Mm-hmm.
And, Volkanovski, he even said it at the end of the fourth. He said, he's got nothing in submissions. He's got no grappling. So I felt like Volkanovski was too focused on the crowd and pandering to them. I felt like he focused a little bit more on the game plan. I felt like this fight was his to win, man.
Yeah. And credit to the judges too, because it would have been easy to score this the other way,
Yeah.
Especially the way that crowd was reacting. Like I said, it all comes down to that second round, and Volk had his moments in that round. I believe that was the first round where he kind of dropped him. But Makhachev came on strong for the whole second half of the round. It was close. And I mean, if you're there and you're judging, it would be hard not to be influenced by that crowd because they were so behind their guy, cheering him on and the chants and this and that. But I'm going to grease my own wheels for a second here, Jeff, because these things I was talking about last week, for the reasons that Volkanovski could have won, all came to fruition. The smaller, quicker guy is harder to take down because a lot of what you heard going into this, even teammates of Makhachev were saying like, oh, you should see him. He grapples heavyweights. It's like, well, yeah, but that kind of proves the point that the smaller guy will be better in those grappling exchanges as long as they don't end up on the bottom. And that's what we saw here, just because Volkanovski, with those short arms and the low center of gravity, he's able to get those whizzers and get those underhooks and not let Makhachev get underneath him to get those takedowns. And his scrambles were great. He was quick. He was flying in and out of the pocket. I thought he looked great. And yeah, it was a close fight. It was super competitive. I thought it was really entertaining. It got cringy when they interviewed Makhachev and he was like, I need a real challenger. It's like, dude, you just got bludgeoned by a guy a weight class smaller than you. Like, you look like you got hit in the face with a sledgehammer and by a guy who you were calling a midget a week ago. So yeah. And then here's the other thing. So supposedly this was the fight for who's the best pound for pound fighter. Would you say Islam Makhachev is the best pound for pound fighter in the world after this performance?
Absolutely not, Bill. Like you said, it was a really close fight, and I agree with you 100%. Me being a shorter guy myself, I love grappling taller guys because they really can't get under me that easily, but I could get under them really quick. So, I felt like that was definitely to Volkanovski's advantage. And I feel like he could have made better use of his physical strength. It looked like he was stronger than Makhachev when they were up against the cage, man. And like I said, I wanted to see more of the leg kicks, man. I felt like Volkanovski could have won this fight. I felt like he should have, but I just felt like he was pandering a little bit too much to the crowd. I felt like he was more interested in entertaining than beating Makhachev. And Bill, I agree with you. I felt like Makhachev won this fight. I thought maybe they would give it to Volkanovski for the same reasons that you mentioned, being the hometown hero and stuff. So I was like, dude, I hope they don't rob him, and I'm glad they didn't. But dude, I felt like Volkanovski, I think we saw him, I don't know if maybe he was injured or something building up to this, but I felt like he only gave maybe 78% or 80% of his full capabilities.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a robbery if the decision went the other way. The fight was close. It came down to one round. It definitely wouldn't, even if the decision did go to Volkanovski, it wouldn't be as egregious as Volkanovski's decision win over Max Holloway.
Bill, that only happened one time. He won the two rematches.
Right. But he didn't win the first one.
Oh, absolutely not.
And he was given the decision. So I'm saying if he was given this decision, it wouldn't be as bad as the Holloway fight.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. He could have won. And, Makhachev was exposed for a couple of things.
Oh, yeah.
If he can't get you down, he gets frustrated, visibly frustrated. And I thought the fact that Volkanovski got on top of him was so symbolic at the end, because to me it showed that Makhachev was broken.
Yeah.
Because the camp that he comes from and the mentality he trains with, those guys don't just roll. There's no light rolling. With these guys that come from Khabib's team, you can't end up on bottom. That's losing to them. So he's gonna get his balls broken by his team, and he's gonna be shamed by his team, even though he still walked away with his title. There's gonna be a lot of shame when he gets back in the gym with some of these other Dagestani guys, and I'm sure Khabib's gonna give it to him as well. You know, how could you end up on the bottom of this guy? Though Volkanovski was not credited with a takedown in this fight. He did get Makhachev down at one point, but he only got him down to one knee. And it was more of a mat return than a takedown. But I was impressed he was even able to do that. You know, being the smaller guy coming in here. So I guess what we're gonna see next, Jeff, because I don't think there's enough people clamoring for a rematch between these two. Not now, anyway. We may see it down the line, but I think we're gonna see Volk return to 145, defend his title there against Yair Rodriguez, who won the interim belt last night. Do you see that happening, or do you see an immediate rematch here? And if not, what's next for Makhachev?
I think, excuse me, I don't see an immediate rematch just because Makhachev, he's not very marketable. You know, he's a quiet guy. You know, even at the end of when he won the lightweight belt, it was Khabib on the mic, right, saying, you know, we're gonna go to Perth and we're gonna fight Volkanovski. So I feel like an immediate rematch is not in the cards. And I'll be honest with you, Bill, Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett was awesome. I felt like it was a better fight than Volkanovski versus Makhachev, to be honest with you. But that's because I love finishes. I love seeing finishes. But the whole fight, they were going at it, man. And yeah, I think Yair Rodriguez versus Volkanovski is the fight to make right now. As for Makhachev, I don't know what you do with him, man. Maybe you give him the winner of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, if that fight does materialize.
Well, you're talking a long time from now, though, because they got to film The Ultimate Fighter. That fight's probably going to happen in, I don't know, like International Fight Week or something. That might be in the summertime. And that fight's going to be at 170. But supposedly it's something they worked out where the fight's at 170, but it counts towards their 155 ranking, kind of like what they did with Conor and Cowboy, which is just weird to me. Like, just be just be in the weight class. Like, why do we need to have two guys fight at a different weight class and it counts toward it? It just confuses everything.
So that they can juice up, Bill. Come on, dude, get with the program.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder how they're gonna handle it. Like, when does Conor re-enter the USADA pool? Has that happened yet?
He doesn't, Bill. That's how you figure that out.
Yeah, he stays out of the pool.
He stays dry, dude.
It's he's like, if they're playing Marco Polo, he's the fish out of water.
Yeah, but Bill, I will give it to Conor McGregor. You know, I'm not a fan of his. I don't like the cut of his jib, man. He's a good fighter, but I don't like the cut of his jib. But I will say this: remember, he broke his leg in his last fight against Dustin Poirier. So I think retiring and getting out of the pool of the USADA pool is a good idea, so he could recover. He's probably taking stuff to fix that leg. Okay, that is not allowed by USADA.
Dude,
so
I'll say it. Let's just do Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, no drugs barred.
No drugs barred.
Let's just come on. We know they're both juicing. Like, Conor's all but said it. Like, he left the USADA pool so he could take some stuff to recover from the broken leg. Yeah, fine, whatever. Anderson Silva did it too, because remember, after he snapped his leg in half, he got popped for steroids in his next fight. And look at Chandler. I mean, the guy's, what is he, 36 years old, 37?
Nobody looks like that at 36.
Built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah,
come on.
Looks like that.
Let's just just don't test him. Let's keep this one hush hush, and let's market it. Let's just market it that way. Let's just call it what it is. Like, we're gonna let these two guys juice to the tits and beat the fuck out of each other. Like, if you're promoting this power slap bullshit, like, let's just do it. Let's do juiced MMA. Let's let's throw the rule book out the window. Look, they're gonna be 170. Maybe we'll do it at 175. They can take whatever they want. Let's do pride rules. They could bump cocaine right before they come out to the cage. Let's just see a show. But yeah, I don't think I don't think it's going to be either one of those guys. I would like to see Michael Chandler and Makhachev at some point. I think that's a fun fight. I think it's an exciting fight. Makhachev, his striking's not the best.
Absolutely.
He basically uses his striking to set up his entries. And like, would he be able to get underneath Michael Chandler, who's a great wrestler as well? But let's talk about the fights that actually happened. So Yair Rodriguez, Josh Emmett. I feel like Josh Emmett had a really rough weight cut.
Yeah.
He's a bigger dude. For 145, he's 37 years old now. He looked really sucked out at the weigh-ins. And I thought Yair had a great game plan. Those body kicks, man.
Nasty.
They would have put lesser men out. And then, he didn't even care to end up underneath Emmett, because it happened, I believe, in the first round. Emmett got on top of him. And in the second round, Yair was dropping those nasty elbows. So I don't think it was necessarily the triangle that finished it. I think Emmett was, he got pretty battered in that fight. He got hit with some big shots and some big elbows. And, he did the wrestler thing where he leaned into the triangle. It's just part of it. Like, when you're a wrestler, you lean into triangles. Like, it happened to me for years when I first started jiu-jitsu. I would get triangled left and right. And obviously the most famous example was Chael Sonnen getting triangled at the end of the Anderson Silva fight. But that's what happened here. Yair Rodriguez, man. Everybody talks about how dynamic his striking is. This guy's got some grappling. I mean, after popping out Brian Ortega's shoulder, I don't think he gets enough credit for that. Like, he had a tight ass armbar. Ortega defended it the absolute wrong way, the way you're told to never defend an armbar, and his shoulder popped out. And now he submits Josh Emmett, a guy who had never been submitted before. So give me thoughts here, kid.
Yeah, dude. Bill, I'm with you 100%, man. Those body shots were so nasty, dude. And I felt like after the first two, Josh Emmett's whole side was just red, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you could hear him, right? Like, the mics were picking up these body shots, man. So nasty. Yair Rodriguez, he has the very dynamic striking, but he's also calculated with it, Bill. Like you said, it was an elbow that really made Josh Emmett go into, all right, I got to take this guy down, because that elbow, it looked like it really hurt him. So Yair Rodriguez, his Muay Thai is pretty nice. Like we said, dynamic striking. The body shots were nasty. Josh Emmett really didn't have an answer for them. And Bill, I agree with you. It looked like he was a little bit sucked out. I think that's why he had the beard, so that you couldn't really notice it. But it just, to me, Josh Emmett just looked like older in there. And I think that's due to the weight cut, or I don't know if he was injured or something, but Yair Rodriguez got right in his face, right? And Josh Emmett, I want to say at the end of the first round or beginning of the second round, Josh Emmett landed this really hard right hand that made Yair Rodriguez back up, dude. So I thought this was going to be like, I thought it was going to go a little bit longer. And I felt like Yair Rodriguez, I was like, man, if this guy's not careful and he walks into another right hand like that, he might not get out as easily. But like you said, Rodriguez hit a nice elbow on Josh Emmett, which I think started this whole sequence. And Bill, one of the first things that we learned in the triangle, and this, Bill, is 2 hands in or 2 hands out. with the triangle, right? And I guess Josh Emmett just went into like survival mode for a little bit and
Mhm.
thought, I'm on top of this guy. But dude, Yair Rodriguez, he was pretty nice off his back, man. He didn't make it easy for Josh Emmett at all. Even building up to that arm triangle,
Mhm.
Yair Rodriguez, he has a very active guard, Bill.
Mhm.
And as a bigger, heavier guy, I hate it when people are very active off their back because I'm just like, dude, I can't settle down anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, but dude, I liked the adjustment too when he reached instead of reaching over Emmett's back to grab his own shin, he kind of reached like under his far leg and pulled
Mhm.
the ankle back. I thought that was a really sweet adjustment, but it was a really nice triangle finish, man. Huge credit to Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah, you gotta give him credit. It was nice, it was slick, it was a good setup. Even though Josh Emmett had a deer in headlights moment and he made a mistake, he leaned into it, he did exactly what you're not supposed to do. You gotta posture up, you gotta, try and sneak your other arm in there, um, and, he just did the wrong thing, but, I wanna rewind a little bit to the right hand that he hurt Rodriguez with. I think if Emmett wasn't so rocked and wasn't so hurt to the body, that same right hand puts Rodriguez out.
Mm,
Um, so it was a good thing he had invested those shots into the body and hit him the way he did. But um, largely, I think Emmett had a pretty good game plan because for someone who throws kicks the way Rodriguez does, what you have to do is smother them,
mm.
which is why the fight with Volkanovski is interesting to me because Volkanovski likes to float in and out of the pocket. He likes to close distance, pitter patter some shots, and then get right back out. But that's not a great strategy. You don't want to be outside the pocket against a guy like Yair Rodriguez because he's so good with his range and so good at judging distance um, that he'll be able to clip you out there. Somebody like that, you got to get in, you got to clinch with him, you got to make him carry your weight a lot, dirty box him, stuff like that. And, it's getting to the point where you're not even going to want to take him down because now the
Yeah.
guy's good off his back, too. Um, it's no small task submitting Josh Emmett. I mean, here's a guy who's been on top of some real slick jiu-jitsu practitioners. Um, always relied heavily on his power, but he has a wrestling background as well. And he's going with some good grapplers over there at Team Alpha Male. Although I don't know how many guys over there are putting him in triangles because they're all built like us, Jeff.
Yeah, dude, those Team Alpha Male guys, they like the wrestlers, man. But
Mhm.
Bill, I wanted to piggyback off what you're saying about Yair Rodriguez. He's a long guy, so like you said, getting out of range is not always an option with him, and it's that long lankiness that helped him seal up the triangle that way. Because somebody who's built like me, Bill, I got this belly in the way. I'm not reaching under my other leg to finish up a triangle.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. He just slapped it up there. It was nice. Reminiscent of one of my longtime training partners and coaches, John Keller. Shout out to John Keller. That guy's triangled me so many times.
It's because you keep leaning into it, Bill.
I know it's true, but it's also because he's good at it. He turned me into a fucking geometry homework. Hey, he can get the triangles from everywhere. He's got setups like crazy. So
Oh
shout out to
man.
John. Let's see, Jack Della Maddalena. Really nice win over Randy Brown. What I had said last week is this is such a huge step up in competition for him. He's got 3 first round finishes going into this in the UFC, I believe. But, Randy Brown is on another level, 32 years old, just hitting his stride, just hitting his prime. Looked good. He was controlling the striking in this fight for as long as it lasted, but then got clipped. And, you know, Jack Della Maddalena, man, this dude's a finisher.
Yeah, dude, that left hook was nasty, man. Hits Randy Brown and then Brown face plants. Bill, for me, this was hard to watch. Randy Brown's a Henzo Gracie guy out of New York City, so
Mhm.
I always root for him. But credit to Della Maddalena, man. Then he seals up the rear naked choke. I mean, this is a really big feather in his cap, man. Randy Brown, really, really tough guy, pretty well rounded, and like you said, he wasn't looking bad up until he got caught.
Mhm. And here's the guy, 26 years old. Um, he he's got star power written all over him because the
Yeah,
fact that he can take such a huge leap in competition. I mean, you look at his last few fights. All right, Danny Roberts, Ramzan Ameev, Pete Rodriguez. Okay, let's see. Did he fight anybody notable before getting to the UFC? Not really. So this is a huge step up in competition in his hometown, not just his home country, but he's from Perth. Um, and the fact that he can shine like that and still come away with a first round finish against a guy like Randy Brown, the sky's the limit for this kid, really.
yeah, absolutely.
So what's next for him? Obviously, it's got to be somebody top 15.
Yeah, I think you have to. And Bill, while you're looking this up, I just wanted to give a shout out to Kamaru Usman, who was in the second Black Panther movie. It's
Oh,
pretty,
was he?
yeah, dude. He didn't have a big role, but he did have a couple of lines. And I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, is that Kamaru Usman? And then he started speaking. I was like, oh snap, it is Kamaru Usman. Good for him.
Hmm.
You know, bouncing back from the shin to chin that he received from Leon Edwards.
All right,
Um,
so I'm good with anybody in the bottom of this top 15 for Della
um,
Maddalena. Li Jingliang, that's a good fight. Michel Pereira, that's an awesome fight. Neil Magny, sure, let's do it. Magny's like kind of on the way out of the top 15 with that loss to Gilbert Burns. Maddalena wants to work his way in. Michael Chiesa, I'm all for it.
Bill,
Um,
Bill, let's slow down here, dude. I don't think he's ready for Michael Chiesa just yet, but I do like the Neil Magny fight or the Li Jingliang fight. I think both. I think you can't go wrong with either of those.
what about Michel Pereira?
I think, um, I don't know, dude. Now that I think about it, I feel like Maddalena might get in his face a little bit, and that would really stifle Pereira's, because he needs space to get off those dynamic strikes. So I think that could be a good fight too. Now that I think about it,
I think he gives Michael Chiesa a run for his money.
I don't know, dude. I feel like the 13, 14, and 15. I think those are good fights. I
Mhm.
feel like Michael Chiesa. I feel like he's just like one step too high. That Madalena's like. I feel like he's not there yet.
Do you think Michael Chiesa beats Randy Brown in 2 minutes?
All right, fair enough. I don't think that happens. All right. You got me there.
I mean, that's kind of the bar we're working with now, and in front of his hometown with all that pressure, the lights shining brighter than they ever have in his career. Um, I say, if he can handle that, uh, why wait? Why?
Mm.
There are some guys that don't need to be built up slow, and I feel like this is one of them. Um, Justin Tafa, big first round knockout over Parker Porter. Um, I feel like Parker Porter didn't fight a smart fight in this one because his path to victory was, you know, close the distance, drag him to the ground, and lay on him for a couple of rounds, soften him up, and then try and bang with him. But he skipped steps A, B, and C, and we see how that worked out for him.
Yeah, dude, he was going for the big looping punches, the big looping punches. I'm sorry, and then Justin Tafa just caught him with a little uppercut, Bill, and then the nasty uppercut that followed. I'm sorry, he caught him with a little bit of a hook in one of those looping punches, and then came the uppercut. Really, really. Yeah, dude, that was the big line from Mark Fellows that Justin Tafa said at the end of the fight. If you reach, I have to teach, and that's what
Hmm.
happened, right? So Porter's coming in with this looping punch, and Tafa just hit him with that little hook, and the hook connected first. So yeah, dude. But Bill, take nothing away from Justin Tafa, dude. I think there was a performance that he needed. He
Mhm.
needed to kind of, light a fire in his belly, and I felt like this was that performance.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely one of the guys who who shined in this situation. Fighting on this Perth card, and he was one of the ones who had some of the most to lose out of this. So he came through big time, and it was definitely a losable fight for him because Parker Porter, skilled man. He probably could have gotten him down, and if he fought a smarter fight, probably could have walked away with a W. But he got in there, and the crowd was going nuts. They wanted to see these big heavyweights slanging and banging. So Parker Porker is not going. Porter, little Freudian
Dude,
slip there.
that could be his nickname, Parker Porter.
Porker Porter.
Yeah. Or Parker Porker, whatever you want.
I guess so. The guy that's on the Kenny Florian John Anik podcast, he does the betting stuff. Brian Petrie, he said Parker Porter when he retires needs to open a steakhouse and name it after himself.
Oh, dude, that would be awesome.
It'd be better if they called it Parker Porkers.
Dude, that's perfect.
They do like pulled pork.
Yeah, dude.
Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menifield majority draw. Credit to Jimmy Crute for just like surviving this fight.
Yeah,
because he almost died a few times in there. The fact that he was able to take those shots from Alonzo Menifield. I actually missed what the foul was for the point deduction. Jeff, did you happen to catch it?
It was a fence grab. Jimmy Crute went for a takedown, and Menifield in the third round, and Menifield grabbed the fence, and it looked like he stopped a takedown.
Okay.
So I think I forgot the ref's name, that British dude, the giant guy.
Mark Goddard.
Thank you. So Mark Goddard took the point, and I think he did the right thing. He started them in a 50-50 position, one arm under, one arm over against the fence. Bill, it was the right call. Because Jimmy Crute would have been in a position where he could potentially have won that round. So I thought it was a really good call.
But if Menifield just let the takedown happen and not grab the fence, then he would have won the fight if he hadn't lost the point.
Yes,
because for it to be judged a draw, it means he lost the third round plus the point deduction, so it was 10-8, but he won the first two rounds.
Yeah, that's kind of how I scored it too.
Yeah. So if he doesn't grab the fence, he wins the fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't grab the fence, kids.
Yeah, I just felt like I felt like the point deduction was justified just because of what it meant potentially, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, dude. If Menifield had just gotten taken down, probably could have fought his way back. I mean, Jimmy Crute looked like he had been just gotten back from his own funeral, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he got tuned up. And he's like sticking his tongue out. Well, you're not doing anything. You're still eating damage, dude. But Bill, I'm not gonna lie. This was a good fight, man. I really enjoyed this one. I thought that they would maybe give it to Jimmy Crute because of the point deduction, but I think a draw was justified. I think Menifield could have won this fight, like you said, if he had not grabbed the fence.
So here we are now with Jimmy Crute, and 2 losses in a row over top level guys and Anthony Smith, Jamal Hill, and then took big damage from Menifield in this fight. I mean, he's 6'2", he's pretty wide. Do you think he can make 185? I mean, he's a big dude, but when you saw him next to Menifield's like significantly wider.
Yeah, Menifield's a big boy, dude. Bill, I think I think he could go for it. I think Jimmy Crute, yeah. I think he
Be-
could go for 185.
because at the top of this division, I mean, look, back-to-back knockout losses to Anthony Smith and Jamal Hill, and no shame in that. You know, obviously Jamal Hill's champ. Anthony Smith has fought for the title. But then with the damage he's taken from Menifield, and obviously he's going to keep fighting top-level competition, I just don't know, man, if light heavyweight is the place for this kid. I mean, he's only got 15 fights, and look at the damage he's already taken. I would I don't know if he can make it. I don't know what he walks around at. Looking at his build, I would think he walks around like 225. So if he just like, I don't know. It's a big, the thing that sucks about it's a big, if there's a 195 class, I would say he should definitely move down. But 85 is such a huge jump.
Yeah, it's 20 pounds, dude. It's like two weight classes basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mark Fellows says he'd rather see Crute learn to move his head. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, he's got kind of a brawling style, and he can get it to the ground, but he waits until like he's already taken damage to try and get it to the ground. You got to keep your head off that center line, especially you're going against these light heavyweights, man. That's like the difference between a good retirement and a retirement where you don't recognize your family every day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whatever it is, I hope he takes a while to recover from this one, and gets back in there and does it the smart way. Modestas Bukauskas, who has a loss to Jimmy Crute, I believe. Unanimous decision over Tyson Pedro here. Beyond that, Jeff, I'll be honest with you, I did not catch the prelims, so you're going to have to walk me through a little bit and tell me what I need to go back and watch here.
Okay, Bill. For some reason, the Culibao versus Melsik Baghdasaryan fight. I'll be honest with you, Bill. I was putting something in the wash, so I was like I was really in and out with that one. But the finish was really nice.
Okay.
Bill, I liked Rodriguez versus Shannon Ross, dude, because Rodriguez went in there and won the fight in like 2 minutes, dude. Like he gave him the fade.
59 seconds.
He gave him the fade. All right. Like Rodriguez came with this crazy combination. He clipped him with, I want to say it was a jab or a hook. And then he starts throwing crazy. Dude, at one point, he jumps up and hits Ross with his glute. Because I don't know if he went for a flying knee, but he went for it ended up looking like, Bill, do you remember Rikishi?
Yes. The wrestler.
It was kind of like the stink face.
Okay.
But I think it was just he was so excited that he knew he had Ross hurt. So
did he knock him out with that?
No, he knocked him out the next strike though.
It would have been awesome if he knocked him out with his ass.
Yeah, dude, that would have been.
Do we know who missed weight in this one? Because this was 127-pound catch weight.
Oh, really? Oh, dude, no, I couldn't tell you.
And it looks like the first fight was as well 158 pounds. The Oliveira versus Takugov.
Bill, that's actually. Oh, Bill, Jack Jenkins versus Don Shainis was also a really good fight. Really, really good fight.
Okay.
Shainis is a real tough dude, man. And Jack Jenkins showed that he's well-rounded. For me, that was a great fight. That was actually, I think that was my favorite fight on the undercard. So definitely go back and check that out. And that's also where I started watching the fights. So Jamie Mullarkey versus Francisco Prado, not bad either. But it was a very dominating performance from Jamie Mullarkey. And Francisco Prado, he just showed that he's a tough dude, man. But he's only 20 years old, so he still has a lot of learning to do. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, he's got some experience to gain. But a more dominating performance, Jamie Mullarkey, he's a little bit more seasoned, so you can maybe skip that one if you want, but definitely Jack Jenkins versus Don Shainis. Definitely check that out. I think if there's one fight on the prelims that if you can only watch one, for me, it's Jenkins versus Shainis. Really, really good fight.
Cool. I will do that. All right. And I see Loma Lukbumi who's a Thai fighter, got a submission over Elise Reed in the second round, rear naked choke. So I'd like to go back and catch that one as well. Solid main card, man. I was loving the flow of it last night because
Yeah.
I don't like when these things go too late. So like all the finishes and just the pacing of it was nice. I don't feel like they were blowing a lot of time in between fights like normally. They drag everything out so much. I love the pace of this one. So hopefully this is something we see going forward. But yeah, great card. I thought it was a great competitive main event. I didn't even mind staying up late. Sometimes when these main events go to decision, I'm like, come on. I just want to fucking go to bed.
Yeah.
But I did not feel that way for this main event, which says a lot because, you know, I've come to value sleep at this age, Jeff, over entertainment.
Oh, Bill, I agree with you on that, dude. I'm 31 now. Bill, I'm shocked. Like I don't know when I turned. I don't even know when I turned 30, dude. I think it was.
Me either.
Dude, and I just appreciate sleep so much more, man. Like when the main card started, I was fading, Bill, but
Mhm.
then the then that Menifield versus Brute fight happened, and I woke up immediately. So it's good
Mhm.
pacing on the card.
Yeah, I was lucky this weekend because since my parents were here, my daughter didn't even come in my room this morning. Um, you know, normally she's there like at the crack of dawn when it's not a school day. If it's a school day, I have to go and like she doesn't even wake up. I gotta carry her downstairs so I can like start making coffee and stuff. Um, but on the weekend, she's like, it's like 6:45. She's like, "Are you up yet? What are we gonna do today?" But luckily today she just went right downstairs and woke my parents up instead. So that was kind of nice. It was a nice little recovery. I got to sleep in until like 7:45.
Nice.
Yeah, which I definitely appreciated after being up late watching these fights. So let's fast forward next week back at the Apex. Fight night 219. Jessica Andrade jumping back in there after what, 3 weeks? Since she battered Lauren Murphy. Getting
When
in
did that
there.
happen? I don't remember that fight. Did I
You don't
miss that
remember
card?
you don't remember Jessica Andrade beating the brakes off of Lauren Murphy?
No.
I think it was January 21. So it was like not it was like 3 weeks ago.
January
Let's see what
21. What was I doing that day? Oh, it might have been a friend's birthday that day, Bill. I think that's why I missed this one.
yeah, it was UFC 238 Teixeira against Hill. Yeah,
Wait, but I watched. Oh, dude, I did miss this card. I think I fell asleep.
she beat the shit out of Lauren Murphy. Like everyone was criticizing the referee and the corner and everyone for not
Wow.
stopping it. But she's jumping in here on short notice against Erin Blanchfield because somebody pulled out of this fight. Erin Blanchfield, man, is tough as fuck. Good grappler. She's played spoiler for a few chicks now already. But man, oh man, is this a step up in competition? I mean, the fact that she's even taking this fight after watching what she just did to Laura Murphy, you got to give her credit. I believe Erin Blanchfield is one of the most talented prospects in women's MMA, not just in this 125-pound division. But man, this is a tough one on short notice.
Oh, okay. Now I remember Erin Blanchfield. She's the one who shut up Molly McCann.
Yeah, and she's a Henzo Gracie student as well. I don't know if she's a black belt, but I've heard stories about her in the blue basement, just handling people.
Wow.
But you know, Jessica Andrade is a little fucking tank, man. Good luck taking
Yeah.
her down, and good luck taking any of her shots on the way in.
Good luck trying to hold her up against the cage too, dude.
This
Like,
is a great fight. I just don't know if it's the right time for it to happen for Erin Blanchfield, especially with how on fire Jessica Andrade has been lately. I mean, she's just a woman possessed. Um, I don't know. What's the over under on this fight? Does it get more views than Jessica Andrade's OnlyFans page, Jeff?
What? Jessica Andrade hasn't only what? Um, Bill, I'm hoping the UFC gives her a good payday so she doesn't have to make an OnlyFans. But dude,
Yeah.
man, I agree with you, dude. It's not the move for Erin Blanchfield to take this fight at this stage of her career.
Mm-hmm.
She's on the rise. She's got a nice win streak going. Wins against, like we said, Molly McCann, shut her up, which I think the all of the world is happy about. At least I am. I feel like Molly McCann's very annoying, but also a big win against JJ Aldrich, another very tough fighter. But Bill, and I think it's too much too soon, dude. She's trying to bite off more than she can chew. Jessica Andrade is, dude, she's like the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Her only mission is to destroy John Connor, dude. Like John Connor in this example being whoever is standing across from her in the cage, man. Ever since she lost the belt, dude, I feel like she's just been on a rampage, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you, man. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Erin Blanchfield and her team see something, some weakness that she can exploit. But dude, this is not the move. This ain't it, Bill. Like
I
the
mean,
kids
look,
used to
if they
say.
think she's ready to fight for a championship, like this is the way to get there. Like,
Yeah,
and especially if like nobody else wants to fight her. I don't know why this is a last minute thing. I think it was Talia Santos who pulled out of this fight. I'm not totally sure. Oh, Mark thinks it was as well. So I don't know if she just can't get a fight and like this is her only way to fast track herself to a title shot, but you know, hey, power to her just for getting in there. Um, I'm not too familiar with a lot of fighters on this card, Jeff, but I'm surprised at the placement of some of the fighters on this card. We got William Knight, who's always entertaining to me, against Marcin Prachnio. But
well, that'll
then,
be a really good fight. That could be the co-main event.
yeah, and I'm not sure why it isn't, actually, because I'm not familiar with Zach Pauga, who's fighting Jordan Wright in the co-main event. But then if you look here, Jeff, at the opening fight of the main card, Jim Miller and Alexander Hernandez, like why
What,
did I not know this fight was happening?
dude?
And if
That's
you scroll down even farther to the prelims, we have Oven St. Preux against Felipe Lenz.
who, Bill.
Like who?
Who designed this?
I don't know.
Dude,
I
I'm
don't
hoping that
know.
like this isn't like the official order of the fights, and this is just how they like posted them on SureDog. But let me
Yeah.
check Wikipedia because sometimes Wikipedia has them on in order.
And then here, this fight is interesting to me. Jamal Emmers fighting a 23-0 Kusain Askabov. I want to say. Is this interesting?
Dude, it's in the same order online too.
We got a few undefeated fighters on this card. So yeah, this is a pretty fun one to me. I'm intrigued by this main event. I want to see how it's gonna go. Man, Erin Blanchfield, man, she's just so young.
Yeah, Bill, I
But
forget who the champ is at flyweight. Is it still Carlos Barza?
Valentina Shevchenko.
I thought she was the champ at 115.
No.
All right, I got my weight classes mixed up.
Well,
But
that's because Jessica Andrade has bounced back and forth. She's back up at 125 now.
oh well, there you go. That's why. But yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I think that for the sake of the flyweight picture, I think this fight is necessary, Bill. Only because Shevchenko has who I forgot who she's fighting next. She's ranked number 5 in the division. I can't remember her name, but Bill, after that fight, I feel like Shevchenko will have cleaned out the division essentially. So I think this fight is kind of necessary.
I don't know why Shevchenko wasn't clamoring for the Juliana Pena fight right after Pena won the title. That would have been the smartest move because that would have been her in to have the double champ status because the UFC doesn't want to put her in there with Amanda Nunes again.
Yeah,
So that
and
ship has sailed. Hindsight's 2020, but that's what I would have liked to see her do because I think Shevchenko beats Pena again.
yeah, I think so too. Bill, do you think that if Shevchenko, and this is just a scenario in my head, but if Shevchenko had done that and beaten Pena, do you think the UFC would have allowed the trilogy fight?
Yeah, I think that's the only way it would have happened.
Mm.
I think you have to do it at that point.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude. Bill, I agree with you, but I don't know. But I think that the UFC would have given Nunez the rematch quickly anyway, just because of her body of work, dude. Champion in 2 divisions, 135 and 145, defended the belts, simultaneously. Was not afraid to jump up and down. So I think they would have given her the quick rematch anyway.
Yeah, but if you're Shevchenko, like at least ask for the fight and then say like, if you don't give it to me, let me fight the winner. But
yeah, dude. And Bill, you know me, man. I'm always gonna love Shevchenko. She's awesome. She's a great fighter, and she lived in Peru for a good portion of her life. And Bill, you know me, dude. I love Peru. I still rave about it.
yes, sir.
It was a very nice time.
Yeah, for me, a lot of people are debating like, well, is Makhachev the number one pound for pound fighter, or is it Volkanovski? Kind of like, there is Valentina Shevchenko out there, who,
Yeah,
for my money, if you're talking about just straight skills, man or woman, she's one of the most skilled fighters on the planet.
dude, she's so well rounded, man. Like her grappling, like her wrestling maybe not good, but she has submissions, dude. Like she's gotten people off her back. She can ground and pound people,
Mm-hmm.
dude. Her striking is second to none. Big Muay Thai background, and Shevchenko, she just goes in there and she just breaks people down,
Mm-hmm.
dude.
Yeah. I mean, freestyle wrestling maybe, but she's got takedowns,
Yeah,
that are effective.
absolutely.
All right, Jeff. I know you got a foosball game you want to get to. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest? You want to give us a prediction for the game? What is it? The Chiefs and the Yankees?
It's some bird. So it's the Chiefs versus the Eagles. Bill, I am not a fan of Patrick Mahomes because everybody thinks he's better than Tom Brady, but he doesn't have 7 Super Bowls to prove it. So
Mm.
he's
Well,
been
after
this.
today, he might have 2.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not invested in this game. I still want to watch it, but I'm not as invested as past years, man.
Yeah.
Although the good story, I guess the one story is that that dude Kelsey, his brother plays for the Eagles, so you got like 2 brothers playing against each other. I guess that's cool. So whatever
Sure.
happens, their parents are gonna have a Super Bowl ring in their house. So
I don't think I'm going to watch the game. We did get invited to a Super Bowl party, but it was a no kids party because and these people have kids too. It's like, what am I
what?
going to, I'm going to fucking pay a babysitter to come watch football at your house on a Sunday night. And this game ends how late? How late does this game go? 10, 11 o'clock?
If
What
you're
am I supposed to
lucky.
do with my kid? I'm gonna I'm gonna put her to bed in an hour or so. Maybe I'll turn on the game, but I'd probably much rather watch a movie. I watched a cool movie the other night, Jeff, on HBO. By the way, I think the Eagles are gonna win. I don't really give a shit. And the only football game I watched all year was the football game I went to with my dad, which was the Chiefs and the Bucks. I kind of want the Chiefs to win, but I believe the Eagles will win. So if you were looking for a Super Bowl pick from me, which obviously you're not, because if you're interested in the Super Bowl, you wouldn't be listening to this right now. But
Oh
there you
man.
have it. But this movie on HBO is called The Menu, and it's about this like really eccentric chef where you pay like 12 grand for a dinner at his restaurant, and he brings you out to an island on a boat, and it's like a 4.5 hour dinner, and like he curates his menu, and just like a bunch of weird shit starts happening. But it was interesting, like thriller, dark comedy type of movie, you'd probably enjoy it.
I don't know, Bill. It sounds like it sounds like feminism, the motion picture to me. But
I mean, it wasn't.
I'm just telling you what it sounds like to me.
I don't think it sounds anything like that.
But
I
anyway,
didn't even mention that there was any women in it.
Bill, come on, dude. Every movie that's come out since 2021, the main character is a woman, and all men are stupid in the movie. So, but Bill, a movie that I checked out that I told you to check out on Netflix, Bill, and it's not on there anymore. So if you didn't watch it, you missed the boat. But it's called Legend, and it stars Tom Hardy. Bill, you know I love Tom Hardy. And he plays these twin brothers, and they're gangsters in England. And they're basically growing their empire and stuff. Bill, really, really good
I've
movie.
seen this.
Bill, I think you'd like that movie. You know, you and me are into like old gangster films, and I like old gangster films, Bill, because all the gangsters look cool. They all got 3-piece suits on. But Bill, you'd like it. You know, without going into too much detail, it's just really entertaining. Like the brothers are so different from each other. Like the one dude kind of wants to get out of it and have like a normal life, have like a wife and kids and stuff. But the other brother, he's a little bit like on the wilder side, and he kind of always ends up pulling them back in and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, really, really good movie, Bill. Maybe you have seen it before, but if you haven't, definitely go check it out, dude.
It sounds like a boatload of feminism to me.
Bill, what are you talking about? It's about two dudes being gangsters.
I don't see how anything could be more feminist than that. All
Bill,
right.
it's just there's this one scene, Bill. I'll probably send it to you. It doesn't really spoil anything in the movie, but it's just a great scene, dude. And it involves Guinness, which I know we both enjoy.
All right. Well, sold. In any case, I hope everybody's enjoying the Super Bowl who didn't tune into the show live. I won't hold it against you this time, but you better be here next week. So make sure you turn on your notifications. We're going to break down this Andrade Blanchfield card and some other stuff. If you want to grab some MMA on the Rocks merchandise, you can do so at reaper1.co. You can use the promo code MMA Rocks 10. Save yourself 10% on our merchandise or on anything else on the website. So go ahead and check it out. And you can grab yourself an over-the-top, under-the-influence t-shirt, tank top, or hoodie if you so choose. I know hoodie season's coming to an end, but I know a lot of your girlfriends have stolen your hoodies. So, you know, if you broke up with them before Valentine's Day, go ahead and treat yourself. Order yourself an MMA on the Rocks hoodie to get you through the rest of winter. That's all I got. So until next time, cheers, everybody. Goodbye.